Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I have this bunker that I built in my hardcore world and it needs an interior. And while I'm doing that, I thought I'd read some Reddit stories for you guys. Alright, let's get straight on to the first one. The first one is, am I the asshole for refusing to go on a family trip if I have to pay for a quarter of the cost? Every year my family, which is my parents, 2 sisters, 4 nieces and 4 nephews, go on a family getaway. We rent a house on a lake and take time to enjoy being ourselves. This year, my sister did the booking for a 6-bedroom house. 1 bedroom for me, 1 for my parents, 1 for my sister and her husband, another for my other sister and her husband, and 2 bedrooms for the kids. Each of my sisters have 2 kids. It is important to note that the kids are over 19 and also adults. I just got the bill for my portion and it's a quarter of the total cost. I'm single with no kids. I asked why and was told that it was divided by family. I personally think it's unfair to charge me the same amount as my family of 4. I suggested perhaps the cost should be divided by bedrooms used, but that was shot down. Am I the asshole for saying I won't go if I have to subsidize my sister's family's portions? No, I don't think you're the asshole. I think that is super unfair that they're making you pay for a quarter of the trip when there is so many people going. You should only really need to pay for your part, which is your bedroom, and the fact that you don't have kids to bring along and you're single, so it will just be you going. You should not have to pay a quarter of the overall bill. That is ridiculous. You're not the asshole. Your family are assholes. Okay, on to the next story. This next one is, am I the asshole for refusing to babysit after realizing my sister was using me as leverage in her relationship? My sister has a child with her boyfriend. They argue often and she constantly uses their daughter as proof that she deserves more attention or sympathy. Whenever they fight, she drops the child off with me so she can leave and make her boyfriend chase her. Last week she asked me to babysit again. I said I had work early the next day and couldn't. She immediately launched into a speech about how I never support her and how she is a struggling mother and I should be grateful I can help her. Later I found out that she had told her boyfriend I agreed to watch the child so she could go out with her friends. She had already made plans while lying about it to both of us. When her boyfriend found out the truth, he confronted her and she told him I bailed at the last second. She tried to use me as the villain in their argument. I confronted her and she said I made everything worse by not cooperating. Am I the asshole in this situation? That line, "you should be grateful you can help me," is outrageous. Listen, I understand that your sister maybe is struggling at times and needs some extra support, but throwing you under the bus because she made a bad decision is not cool. That's just not very fair. So no, I don't think you're the asshole in this situation. I think your sister needs to get a grip. Am I the asshole for telling the truth about why I'm moving out? This one sounds interesting. At the beginning of my senior year, my mother said that I need to move out of the house by 18. She said that I am almost an adult and I can't mooch off her forever. I simply told her I understand and made plans for moving out after high school. I talked to recruiters and plan to join the military after graduation. Since I'll still be 17 at graduation, I asked if she was willing to give me permission to enlist and she agreed. I then asked my dad if he was also willing to sign me off to the military at 17 and he was wondering why. I told him what my mother told me. He then confronted her about my decision and they got into an argument. Afterwards, he begged me not to leave. I told him that she will make my life difficult if I stay, since she clearly doesn't want me to and he doesn't even own the house. Later, my mother was really upset with me. She blamed me for hurting her relationship and told me I should have made up reasons like wanting to be independent. I don't feel like I did anything wrong. Should I have made something up and not put anything on her? Oh man, I'm so sorry. No, I don't think you're the asshole in this situation. I think your mom is. That is messed up. I think honesty is always the best policy and you were honest with your dad, you told him what your mom said and that's all you can do. How that plays out afterwards is up to your mom and dad, so enjoy the military. Alright, on to the next story. So this next one is by a girl who was 19 about her boyfriend Zach, who is also 19. Me and my boyfriend Zach have been together for about a year now. Things between us have been great and we're very close and loving. Zach, just like a lot of people, has a lot of hobbies. He likes rugby, swimming, singing, and of course video games. She better not start dissing video games, man, otherwise I'm getting involved. He's been a gamer ever since he was little and I was cool with it, even though he does it quite often, as it really doesn't matter much. I didn't really care to show an interest in the games though. His favorite game recently has been Super Mario Bros. Absolute Banger of a game, by the way. He's been working hard the past few months on the game to finish levels and unlock new worlds. He was really excited about unlocking this one world in particular and was telling me just how excited he was. He didn't talk about much, but eventually it kind of got annoying. Apparently, the levels need to be completed to unlock a world, which are very hard. One of the nights we were hanging out at Zach's place. I was in his room just eating and watching TV while he was playing games in the living room. Eventually, I heard Zach frantically call out to me. Getting worried, I ran over quickly to see him smiling big. He started pointing at the TV and shouting all excited that he finally beat the level and unlocked the world he's been so excited about. I laughed and congratulated him with a hug and a kiss before sitting beside him. He started telling me more and more about the hard levels he had to complete to do it, and he also started showing me the world itself. Eventually, I grew uninterested as it really wasn't that interesting to me. After a few short minutes, I cut him off and said something like, "Okay, relax, I get it. You beat the stupid level and got the down world. Whoop-de-doo. I don't care anymore." Damn, sorry, that was a bit harsh. I said it in a slightly annoyed and sarcastic tone, but it wasn't mad. Zach's face dropped right away and he looked hurt. All he did was muffle fine and turn away from me. He shut off the TV without even trying the new world he unlocked and went to his room. The rest of the night was very quiet. He wasn't mad at me, but just seemed hurt. I felt like he was trying to guilt me because this was way overreacting. I mean, it's just a goddamn game, and he was almost crying. So, am I the asshole? Before I get into this, there is an edit on this one. And the edit is, "Thank you for all your replies, even the harsh ones. I've realized that I am 100% the asshole and I accept that, and what I did was absolutely horrible to Zach. I plan to give him a long apology and hope to make things right, but if not, I'll understand. And an update may or may not happen." So far, yes, she is the asshole, 100%. Let dude enjoy his games. Games are awesome. But there is an update, so we're going to read this now. "Thank you everyone who commented on my old post. I read as many comments as I could and I took each one into consideration. Thanks for helping me realize what I did to Zach was majorly wrong. I know this update is early, but honestly, everything that needed to happen happened already. After realizing what an asshole it was, I wanted to try and fix things ASAP. I thought of things I could physically give to Zach along with a long apology to show how sorry I was. Since I love painting, I spent last night making him one on a canvas. It was a pretty creative spin-off to the world that he unlocked in the game. I added a cool background and changed up a few things to make it look really cool. After that, I wrote a mini love note. This morning I went to buy something as well. I'd been planning to buy a new video game in the future, so I bought it for him. When I got home, I wrapped the game in canvas and put it in a bag. I then called Zach and asked if I could come over for a bit. Zach has been quieter with me since the incident, but he agreed anyway. I drove over with my gifts. Before giving the gifts, I wanted to apologize. I told him how horrible it was for me to say what I said that day, and that if I could take it back, I would. I said that if I ever had anything he wanted to talk to me about in gaming, I'd be happy to listen. I did say that since I'm not a gamer, I won't understand, but to please tell me anyway. I also apologized for thinking he was guilting me by being sad, which was super stupid of me. I was apologizing and rambling for a good 10ish minutes, and by the end we were both tearing up. Then I gave him my gifts. He loved the flowers, the painting, and the note, and was very excited about the game. He told me thank you, he said he loved me and everything, which made me smile and cry a little bit since I still felt bad. Zach told me he was very relieved to hear everything I said. I told him I'd understand if he wants to break up over this, but he said he doesn't want to. He said to just try and be nicer about it next time, which of course I will. We made a few small compromises to make sure none of this happens again. That was a really nice ending. You know what? Like that, it started off very rough, but it like fully turned around. I was invested in that story right there. So she started off as an asshole, and she then, by the end of everything, she came back around. She's not a gamer, and that's okay. Not everybody is, but she's going to be nicer to Zach from the future, and she won't diss Mario, which is the most important part. That was a nice story. Okay, on to the next one. I'm 25 and still living at home. My sister is 16. My parents are immigrants, extremely avoidant, exhausted, inconsistent, and honestly not great at parenting. Growing up, I basically raised myself. No boundaries, no structure, no discipline, no involvement in school. I had really bad grades, really bad mental health, and nobody ever checked in. They were way too lax with me, and it messed me up long term. Now the same thing is happening to my sister, and it's honestly making me lose my mind. She's failing multiple classes. I'm talking literal F's and D's. She's had sleepovers every single weekend, stays on her phone all night, barely studies unless the tutor is physically here, lies about things, and my parents don't enforce a single rule. They keep saying she's in love and let her see a boy who cheated on her, manipulated her, ghosted her, and treats her terribly. My parents also haven't taken her to her physical doctor checkups in almost 2 years. She needed a root canal for the same amount of time, and they still haven't taken her. Her breath has recently gotten bad, and it broke me because I know it's connected to the tooth and nobody is taking responsibility. Last night, my parents didn't ask her for her phone, so she was awake until midnight. They also let her stay home from school for no reason whatsoever. They didn't even check her homework, her attendance, nothing. I'm the only person in the house who even notices that she's not doing well. Here's the issue. I used to step in and try to parent her because nobody else would. I tried to enforce rules, talk to my parents, talk to her, remind her about school, all of that. Every time I did, it blew up in my face. My parents got defensive and telling me that it's not my place. My sister gets mad, lies more, or avoids me. Somehow I still end up the bad guy every time. I'm exhausted from being the responsible one in my life. I'm tired of parenting kids who aren't mine. I'm tired of the anger I feel watching her go down the same path I went down. I want to detach, but I feel so guilty because nobody else is stepping up. So now I've decided to stop enforcing anything. I don't wake her up. I don't check if she's going to school. I don't remind her about homework. I don't interrogate her about her phone. I stopped trying to convince my parents of anything. I'm just stepping back. Natural consequences will happen. She'll fail classes, or get in trouble, or the school will reach out, and my parents will be forced to deal with it. I can't believe I'm the only adult in the house anymore. But now I feel guilty, like stepping back means I'm letting her fail, like I'm abandoning her even though she's not my child. Am I the asshole for stepping back and letting consequences fall where they need to fall, even if it hurts her in the short term? I don't know what to do, and it's emotionally draining me. I'm aware I can't change them. I just feel a lot of guilt, anger, resentment, and sadness all at once. I don't think you're the asshole for stepping back. If nobody wants to take your help or take your opinion, then that's on them. Now, stepping back doesn't mean you need to disconnect from your sister altogether. You can still be there if things get really bad, as someone for her to fall back onto. I think for now, you can't be as hands-on as you have been. I've been there as well, where you're trying to give somebody advice and you're trying to help, but they just don't take your advice and it goes kind of where you expected it to go. But that's not your fault, and it's fine that you're stepping back. Okay, on to the next story. So this story is by a person who's 20 and female, and her boyfriend is 20 and male. So me and my boyfriend have been dating for about 10 months now, and we've been friends for years. I don't know if I'm overreacting or if this is a normal reaction, but it's just rubbing me the wrong way. We were having a disagreement because he never plans dates. Nothing crazy, we weren't screaming or anything. My stuffed animals were right next to us on the bed, and at one point he kind of grabbed it and slammed it onto the bed super hard out of frustration. I've never seen him do that, and the conversation wasn't even intense enough to warrant a reaction like that. He didn't throw it across the room or anything violent like that, but it was just unnecessarily aggressive. I don't know. It felt like such a weird reaction to have when we were literally just trying to talk something out. And I know it's just a stuffed animal, but it's the energy behind it that made me uncomfortable. It's the fact that you put force into something that belongs to me that was just weird to me. Nothing really big happened, but it's stuff like this that makes me step back and look at our whole relationship. Because honestly, he does little things all the time that make me feel like I'm too much or bothering him, or I'm an inconvenience. And he'll be like, you know I don't mean it like that, and I end up minimizing it. I don't think he realizes how his reactions actually made me feel, but also, shouldn't he? It was just a stuffed animal, but it didn't feel good. I did just pretend not to see it though. Am I overreacting for being bothered about it? Or is it one of those tiny things that actually means more when you stack it with the rest? I might be digging way too deep into this, but I just don't like that. That also rubs me the wrong way. If it's something that has sentimental value to you, and in frustration he puts force behind it, again, it is just a stuffed animal. The actual situation isn't a big deal, but I don't like that. I think what's important though is that you bring this up to him and you guys talk about this properly with no stuffed animals in the room. I hope it all works out for you though. Yo, this place is coming along really nice. In the middle here where the dirt is, I have plans to do that kind of glassy fog effect thing. I think it can look really cool in the center here. But while I'm doing that, let's get on to the next story. Me and my boyfriend, who are both 37, have been dating for just over 3 years. Prior to this, I was single for 8 years. Overall, it's been a very healthy relationship. We're both independent with our jobs, living situations, etc. I do love spending time with him, and I don't really have any complaints. However, something that startled me was about 6 months ago. He said he wanted to open our relationship up, meaning going on dates and sleeping with other women. I've never been in a situation situation like this, so I naturally had a lot of questions. He told me that I could also go on dates and sleep with other men. I honestly was a bit skeptical at first, but after doing some research and having time to think, I agreed. He told me that if at any point it was uncomfortable, we could stop and close the relationship up again. One of the rules was we don't discuss with each other what we're doing or who we're going out with. I signed up to a dating app within a few days and had 500 likes, and it's been pretty steady since. So I started matching with people, texting and arranging dates. On average, I go on 1 or 2 dates a month. There are also some people who are in similar dynamics of open relationships that I'm going on dates and sleeping with regularly. I quite like the fact that there's no commitment, so even though I was skeptical at first, I am enjoying the open relationship. As decided from before, I hadn't told my boyfriend anything about this. I was at my boyfriend's house the other day and my phone was on the kitchen counter. He saw my notification and then proceeded to go through my phone and read messages, including going through the dating apps and whatnot. To say he was angry was an understatement. Turns out he opened the relationship to take out a younger colleague at his workplace, who misread his idea of a date as just a work lunch. He then openly told me he wanted to see if he would work with her so he could ultimately leave me for her. However, she didn't want him and it seemed like no one else did either. In the last 6 months, he's had a few rough dates, but no one additional to sleep with. I feel somewhat embarrassed for him. He demanded that we instantly close the relationship and I told him that maybe we should just end things or at least take a break. He was outraged and called me names, but he's the one who wanted this dynamic, so what's the problem? I left and as I walked home, I contemplated fully breaking it off with him. He's been blowing up my phone and I'm not quite sure what to say. So the first comment under this is, you should join the rest of the population in not dating him as well. That's brilliant. He just seems terrible, if that's the word to use. He essentially just opened your relationship so that he could not feel bad about cheating because he liked somebody else and he wanted to, as you said, leave you for her in the end. So I think you should break up with him and get out of that situation immediately, because that whole situation is not going to end well. But good luck, and I'm sure whatever you decide to do will be the right decision. Okay, on to the next story. So I recently got married on October 31st, and today I was supposed to transfer about 200 screenshots of my wife and her ex-husband so that we could use it in court today and try and get full custody, as he is unreliable as hell. My wife left her phone with me when she went to work, and I was going to drop it in later on. Well, while attempting to get the screenshots, I came across some topless photos of my wife in a work outfit that I didn't recognize. I usually save all the spicy photos she sends me in a private folder. I double checked my folder and I didn't see the same ones. Well, this is where I could be considered the asshole. I then had some suspicions that she had sent them to her ex, so I snooped through her texts with him. They were together for 10-ish years and I've never trusted him. I did indeed find them from back in June, so I took some photos of their conversation and I waited till court was over to confront her. She claims that they did in fact get together while we were on a small break, but the photos were sent 17 days after we had officially been together and had applied for a marriage certificate through the courts. We had chosen a date and to be honest, I don't recall us being on a break when she claims it happened. I don't know. I feel like I'm an asshole because I obviously want a divorce as I can't trust her anymore. We don't have any kids or anything, but I had just taken on the fatherly role for her 3 kids and I've grown very fond of them. I told her I would pay my half of the rent until she gets her taxes because mostly she can't afford the apartment on her own and I don't want her kids to be on the street or in a hotel. I also told her I would pay the electric and internet too since they're in my name, but she's begging me not to let our marriage die and she knows I don't care about what she says because I've always been an actions speak louder than words person. I just feel like crap. I never would have seen this coming and I really thought she was my one and only. Am I the asshole? If she cheated on you, then she cheated on you. That's just, those are the facts, you know? What's to say that she won't do it again, you know? I think you're making the right choice, and I think you need to get out of that relationship as quick as possible, and I hope everything goes well for you. Alright, let's read another story. My husband, who is 30 and I am 26, have been together for 5 years. He was divorced when I met him, and we spent the first year knowing each other as just friends. During that time, he almost never mentioned his ex-wife, and our relationship felt very healthy. We ended up together after some time, and we moved across the country to start a new chapter away from family. We are both very independent and both of our families supported us. We got married in Vegas in February. February, that's when my birthday is. Sorry. Side tangent. Recently we've been fighting more, and any time we get into an argument lately, he compares me to his ex-wife. For context, she cheated on him when he was deployed. I've had my share of toxic cheaters and have been through years of therapy, so I pride myself on an almost over communication base with him because I don't want a repeat. He almost textbook-like will not address his feelings in any discussion. Usually the arguments or tough discussions will stop mid-conversation because he needs to go to sleep, or he says I need to bring up concerns earlier in the day. We both work until 4:30 to 5, So am I supposed to text him and start a heavy conversation over the phone? Like, be real. Before he makes his exit, he says, "You're acting like her again." And I don't like it. How am I supposed to react to this? Tonight it's because I mentioned I would be upset if his mom ended up doing Thanksgiving all by herself again, while his brothers and stepdad watch football. And I would like to say something if it gets too obvious that they're not helping. He said being upset about this is something that his ex-wife would do, and any concerns have to go through him. If I tell him that I don't like being compared to his ex, he finds another reason to be upset with me and leaves anyway. Trying to tell him that leaving me mid-conversation because it becomes too difficult for him is unfair, because he never wants to address it again if possible. He won't confront uncomfortable conversations anymore. The call tonight started an argument. I don't assume a position of authority on his side of the family, but I do assume a position of a person with an opinion. I asked if it's every single scenario where I have an opinion. He says no, it's more about how the men are in my family. They've done it a certain way for a very long time, and talking about it would open a can of worms that I don't want to open. He's currently asleep right now, knowing that everything he said to me upset me, and he doesn't care. I don't set out looking for fights or opportunities to be angry at men, but when I'm angry, I trust that I can tell him, and it's thrown right back in my face. If I'm angry at him, I'm acting like her. If I'm angry at someone I work with, I'm acting like her. If I'm voicing an opinion about how the men treat his mom, I'm acting like her. I've mentioned couple therapies or meetings based on several factors in our relationship, not just this one detail. And he says no every time, because he did all of that with his ex-wife and she still ruined his life. I feel like I don't have a choice but to respect that. Am I wrong for thinking that constantly being compared to his ex-wife for normal human opinions is unfair? Am I missing the boat? I'm still very upset and could have clouded judgment. I'm not looking for vindication for something I could very well be doing wrong and not understanding. I love my husband and I want to work on our issues. First of all, constantly being compared to his ex-wife is crazy. Him using that as like a deflecting mechanism, that's not right. Guys, you should not compare your current partner to your ex-partner, because that will just make everybody feel bad. So no, I don't think you're the asshole in this situation. And if you're wondering what I'm doing right now, I'm turning this room right here into like a treasure cave, kind of like a pirate. It's gonna look cool. We're gonna make it look like a proper cave and it's gonna be super detailed. But on to the next story. So this next one's actually kind of a funny one because it's one that I relate to. It's actually something I'm sort of dealing with right now in a little bit, and so I'll read the story first, then we'll get into that afterwards. So I went to a hair salon the other day, and both my former stylist Jessie and my current stylist was there. So just for context, last year Jessie decided that she was going to move almost an hour away and she was going to open her own salon. While I loved how she styled my hair, I was not traveling 2 hours for a hairstyle, so I decided to go with someone else in the same salon who was just as good as she was. So for the last year or so I've been going to Cary. Well, fast forward to this week. When I walked in, Jessie was there grinning from ear to ear, super happy to see me. Then it hits me. She has no idea I've been going to Cary ever since she moved. Cary immediately calls me over, and you can literally see Jessie realize in real time that I wasn't there for her. The tension in the salon while I was there for 2 hours was unreal. No one knew what to say. When I was leaving, Jessie stopped me and told me I was wrong for going to Cary. I told her she moved almost an hour away and I wasn't obligated to follow her. I also let her know that I don't owe her an explanation. Later she texted me saying that I should have told her I was going to Cary, and now that she's back I should come back to her since I stayed for the convenience. Am I the asshole for not telling Jessie that I started going to Cary instead while she was gone? So this one, yeah, as I was saying earlier, this one's kind of funny because no, you're not the asshole for this. I had something similar. I was going to this one guy to cut my hair for like a good 6 months to a year, but it's not that he moved away, he just gave me terrible haircuts. So like I feel really bad because, you know, me and him, we used to talk a lot about, you know, what he was doing with his business, what I'm doing with like YouTube and stuff like that, and I haven't been to him in months, so I think he must just assume I've either died or gone to somebody else. I literally cannot walk near that barber's anymore because I just don't want him to see me and it would be really uncomfortable and awkward. So back to this poster. No, you're not the asshole. Jessie moved an hour away. I would not travel 2 hours for a haircut. You were fine to go with Cary, and if Jessie is so mad about that, then she shouldn't have moved away. I just thought this story was funny. Okay, on to the next one. So this is by a guy who is 28. I and 4 of my friends who are also 28 finally managed to hang out after a year of everybody being slammed with work and relationships. We all agreed to meet at this indie cinema doing a marathon of a movie series we once watched together in college. Right next to the cinema is a cafe that we practically used to live in. I messaged the group saying let's meet at the cinema early to grab seats. I thought everyone would know the drill. 2 of us showed up at the same time, and since the theatre wasn't open yet, we went into the cafe to hang out, and I sent a photo of where we were into our group chat. Rick showed up a bit later and walked straight into the theatre since it was open at this stage, and by that time we were already in the cafe and we figured he'd realise and come over. Our last friend Mark never showed. About 20 minutes in, I noticed my phone was still on silent from work and saw 1 missed call from Mark. Turns out he'd been sitting in his car in the rain looking for us outside the cinema. He didn't see anyone, he didn't call anyone else, and decided that we had ditched him. He went home and later sent a bunch of angry texts and a long voice message full of frustration and swearing. He said we ghosted him and that he was sick of being the afterthought. I even offered to pay for a ticket to the next showing, but he said it was too late and refused. So, am I the asshole for not checking my phone and assuming he would know that we left the cafe to go to the cinema when it opened? This is a bit of a weird one because everybody here sucks. Yes, you were the asshole for not checking your phone. Like, if you knew you were meeting with your friends. Personally, if I know I'm meeting with people, I have every detail of what's going on happening, you know? Mark shouldn't have just assumed that everybody ditched him. He should have contacted somebody else and maybe gone into the cinema to see as well. None of you played this very well and the hangout never happened because of it. I do hope you guys resolve it though and you get to hang out soon. Alright, on to the next story. This happened a few weeks ago. I decided to try online dating again and matched with a girl I seemed to hit it off with. We chatted for about a week and I finally asked her on a date. The date itself wasn't anything special, but I thought it went okay. I was willing to try for a second date, as in the past I've had meh first dates that grew into relationships after a much better second date. We chatted for a few days over text and I finally decided to ask for a second date. She never responded and blocked me from her dating profile. I thought it was rude to ghost me, and I've always had a low view on those who ghost people. So I decided to make a fake profile. Wait, let me stop you there. What? I'm sorry. Sorry guys, I didn't mean to cut off the story, but I feel like this is gonna go very south very quickly. Okay, so I decided to make a fake profile and started talking to her. I finally steered the conversation to bad past dates and got her to discuss her last one, which was ours. She didn't say anything particularly mean, if you're wondering, just that she didn't feel any connection, which is the usual cop-out answer. She actually asked me for a date the next day, and I decided turnabout was fair play and ghosted her by deleting my profile. A friend said I'm the asshole here. What do you think? Yeah, you suck, dog. Just let it go, man. Making another profile to talk to this girl again to talk about past dates is so strange. That's really weird. Guys, don't ever do that. If a girl or a boy ghosts you, it sucks, yeah, but just get on with it. Just move on, you know what I mean? Yeah, you are definitely the asshole in this situation. She was probably getting weird vibes and that's why she ghosted you. So this next story is, I did something years ago that completely changed my sister-in-law's life, and she has no idea it was me. I seriously need to get this off my chest because the guilt hits me randomly and hard. This is probably the biggest thing I've ever kept to myself. Years ago, before I even married her brother, my sister-in-law and I were not on good terms. She was always making little snide comments, trying to one-up me, acting like she was better than everyone. Honestly, she could be so cruel, and my husband didn't seem to notice half the time. Anyway, back then, she was going for her dream job and couldn't stop talking about it. My husband was super excited for her, and the whole family was rooting for her. But I couldn't stand her attitude. She had this way of making everyone feel small, so I'd had enough. Then I found out the hiring manager was someone I actually knew as a past co-worker. They reached out for additional personal references because they assumed we were close, and well, I was bitter. So I gave a soft, negative impression, nothing nasty, nothing fake, just enough to make them doubt her. I honestly thought it wouldn't matter and I figured she'd get the job anyway, but she didn't. She was crushed. She cried for days, blamed herself, my husband trying to comfort her, and I just sat there pretending I had no idea. Everyone thought the company just went in a different direction, but I knew. I knew I had played a part. Now, years later, I'm married to her brother. She's calmer, treats me better than before, and sometimes we even laugh together. And she has no idea I'm the reason she didn't get that job that could have completely changed her career path. Honestly, the guilt hits me way harder now than it did back then. I think about how her life might have gone differently if I just stayed quiet. No one knows. Not my husband, not her, not anyone. It's my secret. And yeah, it's been sitting on my chest for years. I usually side with the posters for this, but that was bad, man. I do understand where you're coming from. I've known difficult people and you just don't want great things to happen to them, but that was a lot. You probably went a little bit too far with this one. Again, honesty is probably the best policy, but she might shoot you, so who really knows? So this is how the interior came out for inside of our bunker. I think we did a pretty good job today, no? Then of course in here we have our treasury room behind this cool piston door. And also if you want to check out the main video behind this build, it's going to be on my main channel on Saturday, so you can go check that out. I'll link it in the description. If you guys have any stories of your own, email them to me. I'll also put my email down in the description so we can read out some of your personal stories. That could be pretty fun. But anyway, thank you guys so much for listening to me read Reddit stories for you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.